Welcome to Fresh Outlook, the show where we talk about some of the most talked about topics affecting you. Hello everyone, I'm Nia Toschi. As we begin the second week of August, here's some of the top headlines we will be focusing on this week. History was made at a barbecue of sorts in London. The first hamburger made from meat grown through cell culture was cooked and served. It is truly a historic event, but what's it mean for the meat industry? We will also turn our attention to Japan, where the survivors of the Hiroshima bombing mark the 68th anniversary. Now the country is pledging to eliminate nuclear weapons. We are also talking baseball, where a lot of people are saying, "You're out." We're going to be talking about Alex Rodriguez. Now, if you're a baseball fan, his name remains one of the most polarizing in the sport. We'll answer some of the tough questions, including what is Major League Baseball's role in its drug scandal? And finally, the Washington Post has a new owner. What does the sale of the Post mean, and why did Amazon founder Jeff Bezos want to invest in the newspaper business? But first, are you ready for a new kind of burger? We're told it tastes the same, but what are your thoughts about a burger made in a test tube? Let's have a look at what made history this week.
People around the world have a beef with the world's first test tube burger. At a taste testing in London, Dutch scientists served a hamburger made from cow stem cells. Volunteers disregarded the bun and condiments to concentrate on the meat.
There's quite some intense taste. It's close to meat. It's not that juicy, but the consistency is perfect.
The meat comes from the muscle cells of organic cows, which are put into a nutrient solution to develop small strands of meat. The thought of eating meat developed in a lab received mixed reactions from the public.
Artificial. Sounds plastic. I haven't tasted it, but it sounds plastic.
Yeah, I would eat meat that comes with anything because as long as it's on the plate now, I wouldn't know what it was anyway.
Animal lovers are on board with the Lab Meat Initiative.
Today's meat industry causes enormous animal suffering and environmental damage. And if in vitro technology can be kinder to animals, be kinder to the planet, help alleviate world hunger, and make the food supply safer, then surely that's something everyone would support.
By 2050, the Food and Agriculture Organization predicts global meat consumption will double as more people in developing countries can afford it. New ways of producing meat are needed to satisfy growing carnivorous appetites without exhausting resources.
Oh, before we begin the discussion, I want to welcome our panel, political analyst Dee Dee Benkie and political psychology expert Dr. Bart Rossi. Welcome to the show this week, and let's talk a little bit about price tag right now. You know, that story we just saw there, it didn't mention that the hamburgers, these new burgers, cost $300,000.
A little much.
But I think
I would pay 1 cent for it. There's no way.
Well, let's talk about it also. As we just heard, the cultured beef uses the cells of cows, and the secret ingredient is unborn cow blood. So we've got to talk about how they're going to overcome this Frankenburger idea and how people are going to maybe welcome this. Let's talk about the pros. 10 billion animals are killed each year. This would certainly reduce that. What are your stances on this?
No way.
No way?
I'm just saying, I mean, I am so not open to this because, you know, who's to say what this does to your body? I mean, really, this is way too early. I know they have a lot more testing, but think about it now, like Monsanto and these companies that are ruining our food. I mean, what could happen here? Just like wheat now. Wheat, and there are studies that wheat is toxic because it's not the real wheat. It's not the wheat from a long time ago. The chemicals changed it. Now we're having this type of beef. I don't know. I think it could maybe kill you even. So, so yeah, I'm very anti this artificial meat.
I think we know where you stand there, Dee Dee. All right, Dr. Rossi, just tell us where do you feel about all this?
Well, I feel emotionally, if you will, close to where Dee Dee is on this. However, I believe really that we need a different mindset. The psychology of this whole thing is quite interesting. I think that we need to take a look at where we're going to be going as humans. And I think that this stuff is really going to help us feed the world. So I see it as a positive, although personally I have that angst about it. But I do see this as something that could be a breakthrough to help our whole civilization.
Well, you know, let's talk about that for a moment, because the population is projected that will be 9 billion by the year 2050. And right now, we already have 1.2 billion people living at extreme poverty levels. So
exactly.
we could see that this could be,
So
if
how
the
do we,
price comes down,
right.
could help people. So you think that this could be humanitarian?
Well, not only humanitarian, but if we could feed the people of the world, then we can make them obviously become more effective and more part of society. It benefits everyone. So I think that Dee Dee's comments, we may all feel that way about something artificial, but maybe we need to get past that and move into a different mindset onto this whole thing.
Well, and certainly all the animal lovers. I did speak to PETA about this this week, and of course no animals are killed in the process, but yet you still do have to have a meat industry to have the actual products to make this. But they're completely on board with this, obviously.
Sure. Well, they like it because, you know, it fits their cause. But does it really meet the needs of the world? That's where I'm coming from.
Well, and PETA, you know what? I mean, they're the people who throw blood on furs. I mean, they do crazy things. So, you know, and they're talking about, oh, okay, well, we don't want to kill cows, but you know, guess what? Cows and chickens. I mean, a lot of people, we survive on that. And I know what you're saying as far as in the future with the population, but I don't know, why don't we fish more? And I think we can hunt more. I think we need to have more seafood and make a bigger deal there. And that should be the focus, not creating things artificially. And guess what happens too in these poor neighborhoods? The poor people, they're the ones who are going to get this terrible food. So, you know, because they're going to end up not getting the choice. Because that happens a lot when food has an expiration of like, maybe one day or something, that ends up going into the poor neighborhoods. And I think they'll be the ones that will end up with the bad food. Not good.
But I think the questions about it now are there. They're on the table. But if we can have food that's produced, it's artificial, but it's effective, and it's not quite as bad as you think it's going to be,
but we've got
it
bad
might
food
work.
now doing that. I mean, that's the problem. Now in grocery stores, we have food that I'm convinced killing us. It's giving us cancer. It's toxic. It's bad. I mean, all these, and you know what? It's the poor people who get the bad food. I mean, if you've got a lot of money, you can go to Whole Foods and you can go to the expensive grocery stores. But this kind of thing, I don't know. I don't see it.
Let's talk about the beef industry. They purposely did not come out and make any sort of statements. And of course, they're always asked about the ethical treatment of animals. Do you think that this issue will bring more awareness to the ethical treatment of animals?
Not necessarily, really. I think this is more an issue related to feeding people, helping the world. Does it make sense? And I have the feeling that the meat industry is going to be fine, because I think there's too many people with too many problems. So I think it's almost like a smart move on their part not to say anything, really. But I think the artificial food product that we're talking about could have a place in the future, and it might be bigger than we think.
I don't think people are giving up their burgers. I just don't. Steak, burgers, if they're meat eaters, I don't think people are going to change and switch to this, especially for $300. Obviously, that'll come down.
But if people are thinking, well, if I take this test tube beef, if you will, instead of killing an animal, do you think that the beef industry is going to have to come out and really state that they are doing everything ethically as possible?
No, I don't think so. I think it's just the PETA people who are crazy about this stuff, and also farmers get a bad rap. They don't treat their animals badly. I mean, I think that it's really, really overblown. You know, being from a farming community and seeing what happens, I think they're just fine, and I don't think people are going to give up their meat.
There's too many steak eaters. There's too many steak houses.
Well, not in our country anyway.
And people really like the food. I think this is an add-on dimension. That's how I see it.
But you know, we were talking about, well, really, what's in that Frankenburger? We've been asking about that, but what about some of the cows? What are they eating? And we've seen mad cow disease. We've seen all sorts of things like that. Do you think that perhaps this issue is going to also make more awareness about what the animals themselves are eating and what's in their food?
I think that's a good question. I have concerns about that because, you know, cows, if they have grain, they eat the grain. And what if there are things mixed in the grain that's not good? Again, getting back to Monsanto and getting back to some of these companies that the GMO products, that's not good. And we are finding out more and more how people are getting sick because of that. So I'd rather spend the time and money on looking at that and making sure that the cows are eating what they should be so we have good meat.
Yeah, I think that's a good question, and I think it will go in that direction. But again, I see this whole thing as a different mindset. We have to start thinking differently about the world, and we may have this aversion to something that's a test tube burger.
Okay, well, I'm going to let you go put on your marketing hat, even though you're the psychologist, right? So we're going to ask you, how do you change the psychology of folks that are kind of like, ooh, test tube burger, ooh, Franken meat? Like, you know, those are pretty harsh words and a tough image to overcome.
Well, from a psychological standpoint, a marketing standpoint, if this is effective with poor folks around the world who are hungry, and over a period of years, this food is working, it's effective, it provides nutrition, it has value, then I think the next step would be into regular, more contemporary society.
But we keep talking about like people that are poor. You don't think that some folks that may say, you know, I really would rather eat this than kill a cow. You don't see those people coming over and becoming...
No.
No,
I just don't.
See, I do. I'm going to throw my little opinion out there.
But going to the marketing thing, you know, I mentioned before, I think their best bet would be to get a big, strong, strapping athlete or something. Now, they'd be paid a lot of money to do it. But that's the image they need, that you're not going to get sick or you're not going to die or this is going to do some weird thing to you.
So we need to like give it like a name like Miracle Food or something like that.
Something better than the test tube, whatever it is.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right, I've got a couple questions from viewers from around the country. This one came from Allison Hunter in New Jersey. She asked about religious beliefs. I wonder if could you have kosher meat on that? This is actually a question that she asked. How do you overcome some of the religious beliefs in a test tube burger?
That's a good question. I mean, because it's like, you know, we're getting into some place where we've not been before, where it's completely scientific meat, fake meat. I keep going back to that really old movie because this was brought up, Soylent Green. Are you aware what the movie's all about? Basically, they start eating people. I mean, so it's like, where are we going to? This sounds like science fiction now. So yeah, I mean, you get into the religious ramifications, and who knows? I mean, so I'm guessing a lot of folks would not eat it for that reason.
And I'm going to ask one last question from Darwin Sperling in Chicago, and he is asking, will vegetarians eat it if it's fake beef?
Ooh.
Yeah, tough questions. I
doubt it. I mean, vegetarians seem to be so funny. If it even looks like meat, even resembles, even probably for that, I'd be surprised if they did, but who knows?
I think there's going to be a part of our society who will actually eat this if they could make it tasty and effective, healthy, if they could get past some of the issues that Dee Dee's identifying as being really bad, a bad product. If they can make it a good product with some real taste and healthy without all these chemicals in it, I think there will be a segment in our society that will actually go for this.
And and the other thing that I want to also point out, one of the other pros, if you will, is that it only takes 3 months to actually create this, versus it takes a couple of years to raise a cow. Sure. So that's certainly something better.
A little scary.
A little scary,
actually. You know, and here's the other thing, Mia and Dr. Bart, pink slime. You know that McDonald's hamburgers, they started as pink slime. They do. I mean, so there's some food out there that's already pretty artificial. So I guess to be fair here, it's true though. The chicken nuggets and the meat, and in fact, there was just a lawsuit, a class action lawsuit. They washed it in ammonium something, and these people won. So McDonald's has to pay them, and they have to stop using that. So there's already bad food out there that's actually artificial.
Yeah, and suppose they make this stuff better than what you just described.
Yeah, I mean, maybe McDonald's will buy into this, and it might be better than pink slime. Who knows? Is there some bad stuff out there?
Well, after watching all this, is anybody thinking about going vegetarian?
No.
No, the real meat.
I like the balanced approach to all foods.
All right, Dee Dee.
No way. I like my meat, and I'm always going to keep eating it. It's not going to be artificial. Now, I'm not going to McDonald's, but I'll go to a steak place all the time. Yeah. So, yeah. And I think there needs to be a balance.
Dee Dee and I were going to go out for a steak.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you're not going to invite me.
You're always welcome.
You sound like you were going vegetarian, though, Mia.
I was a vegetarian for 3 years, and my story is actually I went to a slaughterhouse by accident. My girlfriend's family owned one, and that was how she was brought up. And didn't eat meat for 3 years, but I have since learned to enjoy
Did you feel healthy?
burger.
Healthier?
I'll answer that question in a little bit. Don't go away, everyone. We're going to turn our attention to Japan when we come back. The country marked the 68th anniversary of Hiroshima this week and pledged to eliminate nuclear weapons. But there was no talk about nuclear energy and the dilemma this country faces.